Thank you very much. Now some questions. Either come here.
Yes.
Come here, come here.
All right, here I come. And down I go. I have some questions for you that people have sent in. So, the first one says, Your Holiness, I am 14 years old. As a youth, how do I keep my faith in the goodness of humanity and in achieving world peace when the world seems to be in such turmoil?
I think the first part I already mentioned, but where?
They want you to read it louder.
Oh, louder. I'm sorry. The question that I just... Better?
Yes, I think better.
All right. The question was, Your Holiness, I am 14 years old. As a youth, how do I keep my faith in the goodness of humanity and in achieving world peace when the world seems to be in such turmoil?
First part I already mentioned. We have the potential. And use common sense. And also observe your neighbors, those people who more compassionate mind there, or in family, more compassionate sort of atmosphere there, the family, all family member much happier, and their neighbors also then, because of good relations, are much sort of happier. Then those family who may be very rich, very powerful, but lacking human affection, then even within their own family member may not be very happy. So that's one. Then second part, past century, 20th century, although I think the greatest century of human history, lot of sort of new inventions in the field of science and technology, much developed, really wonderful. And also I think new ideas, you see, like the human right or right for self-determination, these things, equality, these are, you see, I think much developed in the past century. But at the same time, among many historians, they say the 20th century eventually becomes century of bloodshed. That century, number of people who killed through violence, through war, over 200 millions. So I usually describe 20th century, in spite of some positive things, but century itself also you see becomes century of bloodshed, century of violence. That immense violence, including use nuclear weapons, if that tremendous sort of violence really brought better world, safer world, peaceful world, then that immense violence can justify. But that is not the case. Therefore, now we must look a different way. That means problem among the humanity always remain. And then on top of that, the global warming and also population increasing, like economic sort of crisis recently, these now they are sort of because of the Gemini. I'm a problem. So the only way when we face this problem, when we sort of try to solve this problem, at least is the man-made problem, when we face these things, we must adopt the realistic method in order to solve this problem. That's the dialogue. So I often telling, 20th century becomes century of violence. Now this century, 21st century, should be century of dialogue in order to develop peaceful century. So here I want to tell you, I think in 1996, I met the Queen Mother of England. Since she observed the whole century, so I asked her, since you observe a whole century, so humanity or world become better or worse or same? Without hesitation, she mentioned better. Then her sort of reason, when she was young, nobody talked about human right or right of self-determination. Nowadays, these things become universal value. She mentioned that. So then, of course, the awareness, importance of ecology, much sort of
Increased.
much increase. And then also, I think, feeling of fathom about violence, much increase. During the previous century, when you see nation declare war on their neighbor, consider as an enemy, when they declare, every citizen of the country, without the slightest question, joining war effort proudly. Now that kind of sort of mental attitude is completely changed. Since Vietnam War, this country, the anti-war movement, very strong. Many parts of the world. So they desire genuine peace. I think everywhere, very strong. So these are positive things. So this shows our future is hopeful. Now I want to tell you, the 14-year-old, isn't it? 14-year-old. I usually say telling my generation, now person who above now 60, 50, 60, 70, I'm now 67. No, I mean 76. Just because of that. Opposite. 76. So my generation, I don't know, your generation belongs, my generation in any way belongs to 20th century. So people below 30, 20, these people belongs to 21st century.
Yes.
So I don't know you belong which one. But in any way, this questioner, 14-year-old, you belongs to 21st century. My century gone. So people who belongs to 20th century now ready to say bye-bye. Now this young person, 14-year-old, you belongs to 21st century. So as far as the 21st century is concerned, now only 10 years passed. Right? Nearly now, 11 years passed. So 89 years. 89 years yet to come. So these young people, you are the people who really make new shape of this century. So you must realize that, and in order to make new shape of this planet, you should have vision and determination, willpower. So please study well, with self-confidence, more optimistic attitude, and that, as I already mentioned, very much related with compassionate heart. So please pay equal attention about brain development and warm-hearted development. This is I want to share with you, so that you can be a really sensible, responsible person, and you can make significant contribution on this planet, and particularly in the United States. Now, I think Lincoln abolished slavery. Then Martin Luther King achieved civil right. Now you have an American black president. Oh, wonderful. You see, you really use your freedom, your equality. Through that way, you achieve quite remarkable. So, this great nation, actually, I think America, leading nation of free world. So you should have full confidence and full optimism. Work hard. This is not time for relax. Time for work. Like Japanese brothers, sisters, and also German people, after Second World War, they are new nation built from ashes. But they very successfully they done. So some problems here and there, and particularly the global economic crisis. Sometimes it's possible, a little bit sort of feeling of demoralized. That's a real failure. In spite of some problems, you should not feel that way. You should develop self-confidence. American made tremendous sort of contribution for world peace, for sort of world economy. Now in future also, you can do that. So with full confidence, self-confidence, you must work hard. That I want to tell you. Now, next question.
All right. Your Holiness, as a teacher, how can I create a positive learning environment?
Environment. Oh, my knowledge limited. My experience very limited. But I think, as I briefly mentioned before, ultimately, the individual really makes differences. So I really appreciate one teacher, having that kind of sort of feeling or concern. I very much appreciate it. So, firstly, equality somewhere. I feel that in education field, up to now, my impression, and also some of my friends also have the same view, in modern education system, they pay much attention about knowledge or brain development, not adequate pay attention about warm-heartedness. Obviously, when in European continent, this is separate education institution started, that at that time moral ethics, these things concerned or take care by church. Now time passes, the influence or rule by church sometimes is a little reduced. And family value also, I think, some extent is reduced. So now, the education institution alone should take care both brain development, development of warm-heartedness, and in secular education, the only way, I think the practical way is secular way to educate about compassion. When I use the word secularism, some my friend, some Muslims, some Christians, they have the view secularism means little sort of disrespect about religion. According to Indian tradition, secularism, not that way. Secularism actually respect all religions, including non-believers. So that is the real meaning of secularism. India's constitution based on secularism, and those Indians were also the
Founding fathers.
finding sort of the fathers like Mahatma Gandhi ji and Rajendra Prasad and Dr. Ambedkar. You see, these great sort of lawyers who drafted the Indian constitution, they themselves very much religious minded. But a nation, multi-religious community. So therefore, the secularism is very fit. So therefore, now like America, or I think the whole world, becoming smaller, and itself like multi-religious sort of community. So I think the Indian sort of tradition, 1,000 years, this secularism there. So when I say secularism that way, not negative sense towards religion. And then maybe when the Bolshevik Revolution, French Revolution, during those periods, maybe some sense anti-religion. That not religion itself, but religious institution. Because at that time, the ruling party or elite very much sort of linked with religious institutions, religious people. So when they against, the ruling system, then they have to sort of against the supporter of that. So there may be some sort of the indication against religious institution. Actually not religion itself. What is religion? Not ceremony or costumes. Real religion is practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline. These are religion. So nobody can against religion. No. Religious institution, oh yes, even Tibetan sort of tradition, some religious institution, I think including Dalai Lama institution, outdated. So you see, that's something different. So real religion and religious institution more or less a social thing. So social change, these must change. But religion, 1,000 years in the past, I think mainly human emotion, not much change. I think last few thousand years, emotion level, I think same. The modernity means external sort of change, not human emotion. Of course, the environment makes some sort of influence in our way of thinking. Even I think American in farms land and those American who live in big city, I think their way of thinking a little bit different. That's the environment, due to environment, like that. But basically, same sort of level of these emotions. So therefore, religion is still very much sort of relevant, like that.
All right.
So secularism. I think the teacher, when you teach student about the value of compassion, these not sufficient, not sufficiently carried by word, but through action. So I don't know, see, this questioner sort of face, if you usually smile, then should carry more smile with your student, not also the stern face. When I receiving sort of teaching from my tutor, when tutor show me smile, affection, I have more enthusiasm to learn. Occasionally, my teacher looks a little bit sort of stern face. Then sometimes I a little bit demoralized, like that. So therefore, you see, your own attitude and close connection with your student, like family member, and then through that way, you can share, you can you can transfer your own experience of compassion and love to them. That's, I think, important. Thank you. Next question.
And it's the last question, Your Holiness. This person asks, do you ever see yourself returning to Tibet one day?
Oh, yes. Things are always changing. The people's what? Oh. People's Republic of China, since Mao Zedong's time, much change. I think if Chairman Mao, now recently, you see, they carry some celebration, 90 years or what is the anniversary or something. Sometimes I feel if Chairman Mao himself returned China today, I think Chairman Mao, much shock. Obviously, now today's Chinese Communist Party is a communist without communist ideology, a capitalist communist. So big change. So certainly, I think the voice of freedom, democracy, rule of law, more and more voice now coming, including Chinese Prime Minister himself, Wen Jiabao. The last few years, he quite often, express China need more political reforms, like that. So things will change, certainly changing. Today's China, compare 40, 50 years ago, much change. So like that. So, and not only Chinese case, but the whole world, things are changing. I think sometimes power of gun for immediate, very decisive, but long run, power of truth, power of compassion is much more effective than the power of gun. Isn't it?
I agree. So I need to introduce Michael Fitzpatrick, but before I do that, I want to thank you for your words of wisdom, because...
Oh, yes. Okay, yes, one question.
What about all the people in power that are cruel and don't listen to us?
What about all the people in power?
People in power who don't listen to them.
Now, I always make clear, world belongs to humanity. America belongs to American people. So the since country belongs to the people, so rule the country by people, the best way is democratic system. Now, firstly, when election take place, including yourself, you should think more seriously. That you should choose right person. Then even after you say elected, if you really dissatisfied, then next election coming. Then also I think you have powerful two houses, and particularly the Congress, and also the senator. So your own constituencies. I think you can express your feeling directly to your elected congressmen or senators. Then through that way, of course, the American sort of system, I think very good system, very well balanced, independent judiciary, legislative and executive. I think very well divided power. I think wonderful. So Of course, you see, you have some sort of complaining. It is your right. So you should express that without fear and make effort and tell more people. Isn't it? Like that? Okay. So you see, the democratic system is the best system. Therefore, my own case, last almost 4-century-old Dalai Lama institution, who holds both political power and spiritual, that I felt outdated. So I voluntarily, happily, proudly ended. So I fully committed about democracy. So I love democratic system. Meantime, no matter what good system, but ultimately depend on the individual who carries this or what's this work. So now here, problem is we are really facing some kind of moral crisis. That is a serious matter. Not only America, everywhere. Even India, very religious-minded country. I often telling my Indian friend, if you really believe Lord Shiva, Brahma, you should be honest. If you really involve corruption, then you should not practice Dharma. If you practice Dharma, we should not involve corruption. I'm telling like that. So here also, I think, I don't know how much extent, you see, the corruption. I don't know here.
Not as much as there used to be, but there's still kind of a little bit.
So that's, I think, really important. The moral principle, the moral ethics, whether religious believer or not, it's a different question. But so long we are human beings, particularly they involved in administration or politics or anywhere, leadership must be moral principle. That's very important. Money important, but moral principle is even more important. That's I think you should keep these points and make an effort